Andrew, the taxi is here. Now, dear, no tears. Andrew has quite enough to contend with without an hysterical mother. Are you sure you've got everything? I want you to have this. Uncle Henry carried it at the Somme. I had intended you to have it after I'd gone. But the times are uncertain, and who is to say that we or the house shall be here from one moment to the next? Who knows what Providence has in store? Mankind continues to hurl itself into disarray with an alarming frequency. Tremendous sacrifices are called for. The mother's tears are as poignant today as they were in the days of the legions of Rome. That bloated jackal, Mussolini, has the gall to elevate his rabble into latter-day legionaries. Ah, yes, well, I mustn't detain you. The rigors of Octu are behind you. You've emerged with flying colors. Now is your chance to pit them against the foe. I know you can't discuss it, but I'm certain that your presence in Europe will help to destroy any notions that Corporal Hitler may harbor about an invasion of Belgium. The Maginot Line is our trump card. It will protect you from a push from the east. Your presence here over this last week has been a great source of pride to your mother and myself. I know your modesty deters you from acknowledging the truth, but you leave behind a glow that will warm our hearts for weeks to come. A glow that is kindled by the recognition that we have bred one of the finest of England's sons. I apologize. I've probably gone too far. We pray for you, our only son, for your safe return, and for this opportunity that God has granted you to distinguish yourself in the service of freedom. You were never out of our thoughts. We breathed your agonies and your triumphs in those sodden fields. The very path that Uncle Henry trod 25 years before you. His moments of glory, alas, go unrecorded. Yours are carved in our hearts and minds. Thank God we were able to provide you with an education that has served you so well. A backbone of knowledge and resilience to recharge the battery of experience. The withdrawal through France in that summer of 1940 was slow and painful. You were battling for our very survival amid the alien core. Your letters grew scarce. Then, on a fateful day in June, what might have been the shame of defeat turned into the triumph of salvation.
The Battle of France is over. I expect that the Battle of Britain is about to begin.
Father, come to bed now. You seem determined to die of the cold.
Not yet, not yet. You know full well I'm expecting a visit from Andrew.
Oh, Father.
Compassionately, he never lets me down.
Father, this is... Anyway, you're a long way from your deathbed yet. Well, I'll tell Mother you'll be up in a quarter of an hour.
You may tell her what you wish. He was a prince among men. His first Christmas leave was a triumph, sweeping from household to household, stamping his aura of magnificence on every gathering in turn. He floated on a sea of admiration. Yet he was above cheap recognition of the attentions of the cream of local womanhood. Charlotte Conway Smith deserves full marks for effort, nevertheless. She was a girl of remarkable tenacity. She haunted him from house party to hunt ball. Across every packed cocktail party, she peered anxiously for a sight of him. The target in view, she hurled herself into the throng and confronted him with a look of determination that would have inspired fear in the ranks of the Rodin First 11. For his part, he would remain unmoved. Her dramatic appearance would scarcely warrant a moment's pause for the conversation in progress. He quietly but firmly ignored her very existence until New Year's Eve at the Reltons. History does not relate how the final plan of assault came to succeed. Suffice it to say that according to Commander Lewis, who was on fire watch at the time, Andrew and Charlotte spent the first 45 minutes of 1941 on an iron bench in the Winter Garden. Andrew never wrote to her. Her mother has avoided me every Sunday since. Obviously, Charlotte's skill on the hockey field did not translate into the realms of romance. But I hadn't the heart to tell her mother.
You suit yourself, Father. I shall return. Miss Yates.
Miss Yates? Oh, Miss Yates. Oh, Miss Yates, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to start you. Oh, here, let me light a match. Miss Yates, you've played superbly. Your solo in the Have Mercy, Lord was simply riveting. Do please forgive me, but I'm so anxious and keen to talk to you. Privacy, Miss Yates, I'm sure you will agree, is a gift to be cherished. A gift that seldom seems to come one's way within the confines of a large school. If you will allow me to say so, Miss Yates, it occurs to me that you perhaps suffer particularly in this regard. We, the staff, are at least free to wander during the holidays, whereas you, if I may say so, seem constantly at the headmaster's beck and call, trapped by the typewriter and the telephone. By saying which, Miss Yates, I in no way wish to infer that Mr. Fennell, our headmaster, is not a benevolent employer. It is simply that, well, I would hope that you felt able to sample the hurly-burly of life beyond that outer office. Music is a wonderful release, Miss Yates. Don't think for one moment that I doubt that. It is simply that, well, as organist, I am trapped in my loft. During orchestra practice, I must content myself with occasional glimpses of you between movements. So you'll see, Miss Yates, that I have felt that we were overdue for a chat. As key holder, I knew that you would be the last to leave the hall. I plotted it with some degree of precision. I could only pray that your mother would not feel fit enough to attend the concert. Please forgive me, but I'm sure you know what I mean. Let us take cover, Miss Yates. I've more to say to you. Much more to say to you. I have some Darjeeling tea in my study. After the all clear has sounded, I would be so honored if you would join me for a cup.
That was a close one.
Come back to the house!
Now! Father!
Come in. Come in, Cunningham. Shut the door. Make yourself at home.
You wanted to see me, sir?
Yes. Yes. Expect you'd like a cup of tea. You must all have been soaked after the cross-country. Still, nothing that a hot bath won't put right. Now, you've been with us for some while now, Cunningham. And I should like to think that these last months have, in some substantial way, helped to equip you for the rugged terrain that lies ahead. It's perfectly true that some find an easy existence in the foothills, whilst others, and here I include you, Cunningham, are compelled by force of circumstance to take up the challenge of the treacherous mountain slopes that lie above. And I'm confident that had this challenge not been issued to you at such an early age by the Almighty, you would, off your own bat, so to speak, have sought out equal challenges in later life and overcome them with equal ease. Hercules may have been more advanced in years than yourself, but his labors serve as a supreme example to boys of your age. Now, you may say, what has cleaning out stables in record time to do with what I'm going to say to you? And I can well understand your curiosity. Well, the fact is, Cunningham, that we must learn to seize life by the horns, just as the bull of despair is charging towards us. Your mother has requested that I pass on to you some bad news. Your father, God rest his soul, has perished in the service of his country. Missing in action over France, in fact. Now, Cunningham, clearly I would have preferred that the chaplain had broken this news to you as his normal practice, but as I'm sure you know, he is on corps duty this afternoon. This tragic event has laid a tremendous burden on you. And doubtless your mother's grief will upset you as much as the news itself. So it is up to you to lay a firm, manly hand on her shoulder and show her that the spirit of your father lives on in you. Repeat to yourself the 3 C's: courage, commitment, compassion. When you feel the tears welling in your eyes, bite your lip hard and remember the supreme sacrifice that your father has made in the cause of freedom. The world is full of cowards and bullies, Cunningham. Your own record in this latter respect is perhaps not unblemished. I am certain that this untimely tragedy will, like the light on the Damascus road, illuminate the path ahead. You are now the heir, as I understand it, to a not inconsiderable fortune. This fact, as well as the immediate responsibility you owe your family, might seem a formidable burden indeed. It is for unhappy duties such as this that I and my colleagues have placed ourselves in the vanguard of the battle for the maintenance of the values that have made our island great. Values which have seen us safely through one great Holocaust already this century, and which, God willing, will see us safely through another.
Is that all, sir?
Yes, that's all. I've already alerted Matron to release your Sunday suit. You may go and pack your things.
The Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away. It's happened. Andrew is dead. Struck down by Stuka fire on the beaches. He died saving the life of a wounded comrade. A letter follows. We have their deepest sympathy. Andrew, my boy, you did well. We are proud of you. The entire village is proud of you. If you have time, you must promise to visit the family vault. I felt sure you'd approve of the inscription. The last mile from the station was the worst. The floor of Appleby's shooting brake ploughed great furrows in the wood of your coffin. Mind you, I suppose it could have happened anywhere. God knows what conditions you were forced to endure on that last channel crossing. Your mother and I went to enormous lengths to secure your return. It was a bitter blow to us that the authorities refused us permission for a last look. Sending that army chaplain to the funeral seemed on the surface a rather noble gesture. On reflection, I am not so sure. I'm now convinced that he was sent to prevent any furtive peeking. It must be particularly hard on our seas. Your mother was to follow in the Wolseley. Nethercott at the garage slipped us an extra half-gallon. Poor chap. He lost his eldest the week before. Extraordinarily enough, his main concern seemed to be for the dynasty of the garage. He seemed obsessed by the fear that on his death it would fall into the hands of one of those American petrol concerns. That convoy of grief is carved in my memory. The army chaplain fellow who accompanied your coffin from Dover sat in the front with me. He seemed determined to smother the moment with words. He clearly was used to addressing men under heavy fire, and his booming tone seemed almost blasphemous in the confines of Appleby's shooting brake with its memorable load. The Reverend Mr. Hislop was standing by the lich gate in what was now a cloudburst of such ferocity that it could only be interpreted as heavenly punctuation. A small but loyal band stood by to represent the village, undeterred by the downpour. It's strange that at moments like this one remembers such incongruous detail with such crystal clarity. I have this vivid picture of Seymour the butcher, standing statuesquely under the great oak, as a torrent of water poured from the branches, descending on his bald pate, running relentlessly down his collar. Despite the fact that half a pace to left or right would have removed him from the firing line, he stood his ground until the cortege was safely inside the churchyard. Hislop's address was short and to the point. He had seen this village stripped of its finest men, and he was unable or unwilling to conceal his emotions. A generation of martyrs offering at the sacrificial pyre. The phrases rang out crystal clear. At one point, I must confess that my mind was jolted away from the proceedings. It was as if a gust of wind swept me across the channel to Normandy. I stood on the brow of a hill. Below me, stretching far into the valley, was a sea of white crosses. I was searching for your grave. I ran headlong downhill towards a distant cross. I stumbled. A large drop of rain struck me in the eye, and I came to my senses just as Hislop was breaking into the blessing. I thank God that in your moment of glory, we were able to save you from such anonymity. As you know, Uncle Henry was not as fortunate as you. His grave is marked by a plain white cross on a Belgian field. Your mother and I motored over there from Le Touquet in '33. Mrs. Hislop had tea ready in the vicarage after the service. The living room was a sea of mud. The talk was all of you. It was as though you'd walk in, shaking the rain from your eyes, and apologize for being late. Your gallantry in the face of impossible odds has become legendary. By the way, I'm not superstitious, but they never returned Uncle Henry's watch with your effects. Your mother and I would have welcomed it back for its symbolic value, you understand. The school has completed the roll of honor in the north wall of the chapel. Your name is among the first to appear. I made sure of that. Poor old Uncle Henry and the south wall has been relegated to the bottom. I was determined that would not happen again. You'll look after that watch, won't you?
I'd hoped to invite you and Father to Founders' Day. Parents of long-serving staff are permitted to attend this year. It's an innovation. Something they've been fighting for many years. Will be the mask, of course. Bigger and better this year than ever, I'm told. They're always trying to rope me in on it, because it might be amusing. Somehow I'd feel inhibited in those ridiculous costumes. Mind you, the other housemasters do seem to take part. Expect they're put up to it by their wives. A friendly match is always diverting. Of course, you'd have to fend for yourselves. I'd point out the tea tent and the craft stall. Expect you could manage from there. It's a goodly haul up from the station. Buses are few and far between. Father might have trouble with his ankles. Well, we'll leave it open. I never tire of half-term. Pressures of the term build up. It's a welcome release. Headmaster invited me to lead the school party to London for the festival. With the thought of those little horrors rampaging over Waterloo Bridge, I declined the honor. I used Father as an excuse. Well, we all need a Bunbury in life. Real or imaginary. I did find the Reltons a terrible strain today. They have a knack of making me feel small. Mrs. Relton's grown quite senile. She cannot accept the fact that although I am away at school, I have left school. Actually be in the least surprised if I walked into her drawing room in a pair of flannel shorts. Gave me the most disapproving look when I lit a cigarette. Charlotte Conway Smith was the only light relief. Can't imagine why she should want to go and work in Australia. A divorce was a messy business. I expect people are broad-minded about it nowadays. Still, it did seem to me that I was the only one who was talking to her. Or rather, she to me. People don't seem to listen nowadays. Father, come on now. Terribly late. Mother's patience is exhausted. This constant nocturnal watch is a burden on us all. Half-term's over tomorrow. I shall have to leave early. I have an appointment with a parent at 2. I'm playing the organ at evensong at 5. Mother's already gone up to bed. She's left your Horlicks on the dresser with a saucer over it.
Oh, come on now. You'll catch your death of cold.
Andrew, have you looked at the vault? Did you like the inscription? I remember your last term in the 6th. The Faversham Prize for Verse. Brooke was your favorite. You see, I remember it. Her sights and sounds, dreams happy as her day, and laughter learnt of friends and gentleness. The letter from your CO, I don't think I showed it to you. Mind you, I don't believe in revealing to a man his true worth in the eyes of others. It can weaken his character development. Funny. Must be up at the house. Remind me to show it you tomorrow night. You will come tomorrow night, won't you? I look forward to these visits. Don't forget to give your mother the MC to take to the bank in the morning. The loss of Uncle Henry's watch I can grow to bear. But if that were to go missing, times are different now. People have no respect. After you've looked at the vault, don't forget to lock the lich gate. I don't want people trampling over your grave.